Okay, so I've got the reference planes now set up to establish the size of the building. And now I want to establish the height of the building using levels before I put in my grids and start setting out the exterior walls. And so this is something I do with every single project, and I find most people who use Revit would do the same. Once you've got a good idea of the plan dimensions, in other words, the length and the width of your building in plan, then you should go to one of your elevation views and make sure you can see that. So I can see the two reference planes either side. And that means I can extend my level by clicking on either level there. I can just extend using the grip to drag it out to one side. Same on the other side. Just take it out past the reference plane. And you'll see, that was in the south elevation. If I go to the north elevation, it will be extended because the north elevation is just a mirror image of the south elevation. And the east and the west elevations work the same way. So if I go to east now, again, I can see the reference planes that tell me the width of the building and drag the levels out accordingly so that they're bigger than the building or wider than the building. And then I can go to west because it's a mirror image of east, and I can see the levels there have been extended as well. And so, going back into Street View, we can then count the stories. Or does anyone know? 7? Oh, right. Is that, okay. Including the ground floor? 5, 6, 7. Yep. And then, what's that up the top? Okay, so that's good. So we've got, so level 6 should be our top level, and then roof, level 6 will be our top floor level, and then roof will be our top level. Right, so I'm going to show you a couple of little tricks for making additional levels as well. On the architecture tab, you have the level tool. And if you line them up by just hovering above the end of one of the levels that you already have, you'll get an extension line. And then going over to the right-hand side, you should see the same thing when they're aligned. You can see the extension line there. I'm not really worried about the height, but I might make it about 4,000. We can adjust the height of the levels as we go through. Now you find you can copy levels, but you'll probably find that it's better to make them using the level tool one by one, simply because it makes the views for you as you go. So over here on the left, notice how it's making these floor plans and the ceiling plans. Now, if you do copy a level, like I said, I wouldn't recommend it, but I just want to show you what will happen. Okay, so I've copied this level to make level 4, copied level 3. Notice how the arrow is black. This one's blue. And that tells me that level 4 doesn't have any views associated with it. So it hasn't created the floor plans. Level 4 over here, you can see, isn't in the list. And it's not in ceiling plans either. Only got up to level 3. Now, don't panic. If you do find you have a level like that without any views, you can go and make the floor plans manually here, and also ceiling plans. But if you do it the way I'd recommend, like I said, just by using the level tool instead, you don't have to go and make the views afterwards. They're created for you as you go. So it might seem like a little bit of extra work to click 2 points to make each level, but the fact that it makes the views probably makes it still the quickest way. Okay, so I've gone up to level 7 because I want that last level to be for the roof, essentially. It might have a roof level floor or something like that, but we'll just call that roof for now. Yes, absolutely, yeah. So once you've got the levels, that's a really good idea. Extend the reference planes. I'll show you what happens if you don't, and it's a good thing for you to see because it'll show you why we're doing things in this way. If I go to level 4, can't see the reference planes. But on level 1, I can. And that's because, as you've seen in the elevation, the reference planes extend through level 1, but don't go up to level 2. But now if I extend those reference planes all the way through, definitely should do that, to roof. Now if I go to any of these floor plans, I can see those 2 reference planes that I've extended, but I need to go to east or west to extend the other reference planes. Oh, sorry, north or south. There we are, to extend the other reference planes. Again, through to the roof level. Okay, so the reason that's a good process, apart from the fact that you're defining the envelope of the building, we know the width, we know the length in plan, and now we know the height. So we've got a box established, that is the volume of that main building. And then what that means is if I go and make, for example, a grid line now, and I'm going to do that, so I've clicked on the grid tool in my ground floor plan. I'm just going to click a couple of points to draw a grid line. And you'll see if I go and look in an elevation view, I'll come back and adjust that in a minute, but if I go and look in, say, the south elevation, notice how the grid line automatically is extended to go right through to my highest level. And that can be really helpful. Say, for example, if you draw a reference plane at an angle, like this, and you will need them at different angles, I'm sure, as you start working on your design, that reference plane would be extremely difficult to extend because I don't have an elevation or a section view where I'm going to see it. And I could make one, but again, by setting the levels up first, if I go to one of these higher levels, that reference plane's automatically extended through to those levels. So that is a really good process to get used to. Setting up your, again, your overall sizing plan, then go straight to your levels and at least try to get your lowest level and your highest level, so ground floor and roof. And now you said they've got 2 levels of car parking. Are they below ground floor? I thought there was only one, but I could be wrong. I thought there was only 1 level below ground floor, but I don't know, has anyone worked out something different? Yeah, there is only one, right. Yeah, right, yeah, okay. So we'll allow for 1, and so I'll go and put that in now. In, again, my south elevation. Okay, so you can easily make levels below your ground or below 0. So I'm just going to call that basement. If there is another level, we can always add it later. But I have to extend anything that I've made previously, like my reference planes. I've got to extend those manually. The grid as well, got to extend manually. So all of these, again, that's why you want the highest and lowest levels set up as soon as possible. And so back to my ground floor with the image. I'm then going to get my grid line and put in the spacing. So here you can see the dimension, which is 700. And so I can go and adjust the dimension for that grid line. Back to architecture, and I can keep using the grid tool to make additional grid lines. And just check as I go along that the spacing is right. That has actually just snapped to the right measurement anyway. And then in the south view, you'll see that grid line does extend down. I'll just lock the other one to it. Okay, so that works, but you might find it's a little bit quicker to copy a grid line using the copy tool. If you turn on the multiple option, you can pick a point, type in the measurement, 5200, and then again 5200, and just keep going like that. And if you really want to experiment and try some other ways, have a go at using the array tool with the associative option turned off, and that will work really well as well. Okay, but I'm just going to keep using copy. It'll be done in a moment. Yep, yep. So the good test there is to check with the last grid line that it is exactly 700 to your reference plane. So I'm going to then put in the grids going the other way. So again here, thinking about the same things after I draw the first grid line in that direction. And the last little trick I'll show you is that if you put in the letter A, when you go to do your next grid line, 3857, which is a weird measurement, but that's what it is, you can see automatically it'll be B. And I'm just going to cheat here and do this a little bit faster. There we are. So, okay, now with the last measurement, you might find that it's not exactly 700 because that 3857 is actually a divided measurement. It's been achieved by dividing up a larger number, and it's not exactly that. It's been rounded off, so I'm just going to change this last grid line to 700. We might fine-tune that later. So have a go at that. I'll show you the walls afterwards, but we've set out the measurements for them already. So that's what the south elevation should look like. That's what your east elevation should look like.